Welcome back. All right, so we're going to round out the playlist on the finalists with today's entry, the Tampa Bay Lightning. A Tampa Bay Lightning team that had won Stanley Cups in 2020 and 2021, and I'm kind of proud of myself. So I've got the middle logo, like between the first logo they had and the new logo. This, of course, being their current one, the new logo, and this one here being their original. So we've got all three, same video. Cool, I can retire. So they finished the season 51, 23, and 8. And one thing that Tampa Bay has learned is not to go all guns out, the whole season and try to win as many games as humanly possible. Yeah, 2019, when they did that, they lost in the first round in 4 straight. So they've learned, and they haven't had that problem since. Now, they did win the Cup twice in a row. There's a lot of banged up, bruised up guys right now from the fact that they've been through three Stanley Cup final runs in 3 years. Winning 11 straight series. Now, they lost 2 in a row twice in these playoffs. It's notable because they didn't lose 2 in a row in either 2020 or 2021 when it came to playoff time. And they only had 1 overtime winner. That was Braden Point at 19:04 of Game 6 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. A absolute shocker of a goal. That was one of the more surprising ones because it felt like that game was settling in to go to a second overtime. They went to overtime twice against Colorado and lost both games. Every other game was done in regulation. They really didn't use overtime to their advantage. They really didn't need it that much. But if they'd won one of those games in overtime against Colorado, we'd be having a different conversation. So, round 1 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. This might have been their strongest test until the Stanley Cup final. It was a 7-game series. They lost the first game 5-0. They won the second 5-3. Then they lose 5-2. They win 7-3. They lost 4-3. They win 4-3 in overtime. Points winner there. And then they won Game 7, 2-1. So they avoided, they broke the pattern. They won Game 7 on the road in Toronto. Kucherov was the leading scorer in that series with 2 goals and 6 assists for Tampa. Second round, Florida did not last. They managed 3 goals in the entire series. They lost all 4 games by scores of 4-1, 2-1, 5-1, and 2-0. And Kucherov led in that series as well, 2 goals, 5 assists for him. And then it became the Andre Palat show when we get to the conference final. They lost the first 2 games spectacularly, 6-2 in the first game, a close one in the second one, 3-2, and then they went 3-2, 4-1, 3-1, 2-1. So in those final 4 games that they win 4 in a row, they only allowed 5 goals. So when Tampa Bay wins in general, they allow 1 or less quite often. Palat was the leading scorer in that 6-game series, 4 goals, 4 assists for him. And then they ran into Colorado, who made it clear pretty quickly that this series was going to be different. It was a 4-3 win for Colorado in Game 1, 7-0 in Game 2. But Tampa showed that fight back, that spirit, in a 6-2 Game 3 win before losing Game 4 in overtime 3-2. Game 5 was a 3-2 win for them to keep the series going, because, yeah, that's 3-1, 3-2, and then they lost at home 2-1. So, really, overall, really strong run. I think that for Tampa Bay, I think they'll be recognized as a dynasty by many, and I say that because dynasty's technically 3 cups in 4 years, but even if they don't win it next year, there will be those that say, hey, they won 11 series in a row. That hasn't happened in a very long time. They joined some pretty elite company with winning 11 series in a row. So while there are those who will definitely, pile on with the whole, oh, those cups don't count, nobody cares. They count and people care, and move on, basically, because they still count. They still get those rings. They still have their name on the cup. They still count. They were 8th in goals for this season with 287 goals scored. They were 6th in goals against with 233 goals against. One thing with Tampa, an elite team losing in the final to another elite team. This was such a really good matchup in the final. Stamkos led the team in scoring in the regular season in 81 games, 42 goals, 64 assists, 106 points. In the playoffs, 23 games, 11 goals, 8 assists, 19 points. Hedman, 82 games played during the regular season, 20 goals, 65 assists, 85 points. The interesting thing is I did a video today on the injuries for Tampa players. I didn't see anything regarding Hedman. Be very surprised if he was 100%. In the playoffs, 23 games, 3 goals, 16 assists, 19 points. Kucherov, 47 games in the regular season, 25 goals, 44 assists, 69 points. In the playoffs, we know playoff Kucherov's fantastic. 23 games, 8 goals, 19 assists, 27 points. Killorn, 82 games, 25 goals, 34 assists, 59 points during the regular season. And then it all dried up in the playoffs. In 23 playoff games, no goals, 4 assists. So Killorn may very well be the guy who ends up getting traded in the offseason. But again, he had 25 goals, 59 points during the regular season. He was snake bit in the playoffs. Braden Point, 66 games during the regular season, 28 goals, 30 assists, 58 points. In the playoffs, he played the 9 games, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points, and as I reported this morning, suffered a quad tear. So that's not fun against Toronto. And tried to come back weeks later. Palat, 77 games, 18 goals, 31 assists, 49 points during the regular season, but he turns up his game in the playoffs. 23 games, 11 goals, 10 assists, 21 points for Andre Palat. Cirelli, 76 games, 17 goals, 26 assists, 43 points. The scoring dried up a bit for him in the playoffs. 23 games, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points, but we know he was playing injured as well. Corey Perry had a better regular season with Tampa than he did the previous 2 years in Dallas and Montreal, but again, he's on a finalist. 82 games, 19 goals, 21 assists, 40 points, as he comes up just short of getting his second Stanley Cup ring. He did have the one in 2007 in Anaheim. 23 games in the playoffs, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points. He's a very good playoff performer. Ross Colton, 79 games during the regular season, 22 goals, 17 assists, 39 points. In the playoffs, 23 games, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. Colton's a guy who may jump into a more prominent role if they lose players in the offseason. Sergachev, 78 games, 7 goals, 31 assists, 38 points. In the playoffs, 23 games, 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points. It felt like he got better as the playoffs went along. And so for Tampa Bay, when Hedman was having his struggles here and there, it felt like Sergachev stepped up. Maroon, 81 games, 11 goals, 16 assists, 27 points. He has lost his first series since 2018. 23 games in the playoffs, not 23 goals. Settle down. 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points in the playoffs. McDonough, 71 games, 4 goals, 22 assists, 26 points for him overall. In the playoffs, 23 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. He's not there for the scoring. Belmar, 80 games, 9 goals, 11 assists, 20 points. In the playoffs, 23 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. He played every game. He was playing injured as well. Nick Paul comes in at the deadline, plays 21 games with Tampa, 5 goals, 9 assists for him. 23 games in the playoffs, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. So his output dropped a bit in the playoffs. His work ethic did not, and he was fantastic. So, less points per game, but he was still excellent. Hagel had more struggles. 22 games during the regular season, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. His scoring from where he was in Chicago to Tampa dropped, as we might have expected. It's interesting, too, that Radish gets traded the other way along with Kachuk, and they were getting better ice time and better opportunities in Chicago, again, as would be expected. In the playoffs, Hagel struggled mightily. 23 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. I think one of those goals was an empty netter as well. They'll be looking for more from Hagel this upcoming regular season. Vasilevsky plays every minute in the playoffs because that's what he does. During the regular season, 39, 18, and 5, 9-16 save percentage. In the playoffs, he amps up his game. 14 and 9 with a 922 save percentage. And that 922 would have been higher if not for getting lit up a little bit by the Toronto Maple Leafs early in the playoffs. Elliott was 11, 4, and 3 with a 912 save percentage. Played well enough that they've kept him for next year. Legace got into action, 1-1, 828 during the regular season. Alnefelt came in, had a 700 save percentage in his appearance. And Alnefelt probably ends up being a guy that they look towards after next season the career's rough. I don't know why career came up. Once next season is done for Elliott. And so, their UFAs, Palat, Paul, Ruda, and Nash. Palat, Paul, and Ruda probably stick around. Riley Nash, a fourth liner, extra guy. We'll see whether or not they keep him around. Their LTIR, Seabrook, $6.875 million until 2024, but they're currently showing negative cap space because that LTIR does not translate. Off season, it doesn't come off. So they're currently about $2 million over the cap of $82.5 million for next year. But you can be 10% above the cap in the offseason. That doesn't affect your offseason that much. But again, LTIR is something that I think GMs are starting to get a little bit wary of. I think that's why the cost for getting rid of an LTIR contract has gone up to now it's first rounder. And so, that Seabrook contract helps out Tampa Bay a little bit, but they're going to have to do some creative moves in order to stay under the cap and stay competitive. and try to go back to the finals for a 4th straight year. Would I bet against them? No. But others definitely likely will. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.